back again with another episode of the Sloth Doctor. God, I'm a little Freudian slip there. I am Dr. Chip.
I'm Dr. Glenn. I mean, Dr. Bob.
Hey, if you notice, Chip and Rich are very kind of take the little slash off the R, making a P.
Right.
And
same number of letters.
Yeah.
Same syllables.
Literally one slash away from the right letters to.
Yeah.
Anyway. We just did an hour before this, so we're grasping at topics. But I kind of want to talk about the whole. I don't think we went to the moon.
I listened to the podcast. You're talking about the most recent.
Yes, we were just Joe Rogan is back on the moon.
Right. Joe Rogan.
Conspiracy that we didn't go to the moon.
His name was Danny Jones. That's the guy that we're talking about, or the episode we're talking about.
Right.
Having listened to it, I will concede that. Yeah, it's very possible that we were more than capable of faking it. I still think we went.
And again, to clarify, I think equipment went to the moon. I think they scraped up rocks. They rode around with a remote control car, blasted off and came back. I think the part they faked was that any guys went. And the reason I think they faked it, because number one, that would make it a lot harder. Think of how easy it is if they don't have to worry about guys dying.
Fair enough.
And number two, they can't seem to get through that radiation belt without things dying. And that's
I don't have the details, but I have watched a couple of videos explaining how we did do the radiation belts, and I was satisfied with the explanations that I saw.
Well,
and it had something to do with leaving a polar and limited exposure, and
right.
I do think we went. I don't think we faked that. I do think that a lot of the...
But it would be so easy to just fake the part about the guys not going. And there's all kinds of footage where they admit this is the footage from Not on the Moon.
Right. I know there was a lot of training footage and a lot of extra footage and a lot of additional footage.
And do you remember... Were you around? Do you remember watching? Because I was probably like 9. So,
no, I was born.
Yeah, you were too young.
I was born in 71.
So I remember Nixon talking to somebody on the moon. I don't think they could do that back then.
Obviously there must have been quite a delay, but...
Yeah, but that's the thing. There was no delay.
Oh, are you sure they didn't just edit the responses to make it sound like there was no delay?
No, not at all.
But it's on the air?
I vaguely remember it was supposedly live, but I was young. I don't remember what year that was. That was probably, like 72, 73? So I was 10, 12?
If it could be disproven, don't you think the Soviet Union would have disproven it? Don't you think they would have?
I believe they have stated openly many times that we never went to the moon.
I've never seen a statement like that.
I believe they have publicly many times said, no, you guys didn't go to the moon.
In all of the videos I've seen where people just for example, the one we're just talking about right now, I don't hear anybody talk about the Soviets disproving it or even claiming that we didn't do it.
Oh, they've definitely claimed we haven't.
That if we didn't do it and it could be proven, they would be the ones that would prove it.
Well, I don't know how they would prove it. They might say, we don't think you went, but they would have no way to prove it any more than any of us do.
Well, whatever evidence that I don't know. I just feel like that if they, I do think we went. I don't think it was easy. I do think a lot of extra footage and shit was done. Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of, look, I'm a motivation guy. And, Kennedy threw it out there. He maybe pulled a Trump move where he, got his, overloaded his ass with his mouth. And they finally said, look, we can do it. But without the guys make it, we could do it with those guys in probably another 4 years. We could do it right now if we pretend that, those guys went and we just kind of And then I don't know if you'd heard about there's so many theories about that press conference after the first astronauts got back. Have you ever seen that?
Clips, not the whole thing.
Yeah, they do look like they're like a hostage situation. They're not like they're freaked the fuck out. But a lot of theories is because of what they saw on the moon.
Right.
Which,
I've heard those theories too.
That's even farther down another rabbit hole of... But yeah, I don't know. I think they could have faked it. And there's certainly plenty of motivation to, because we were in the coal race. We wanted to make sure those guys knew. And
the motivation to bankrupt the Soviet Union, I get that.
Right.
I get that wholeheartedly.
Not to mention the propaganda boost they get out of it by, rah, 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 we beat them to the moon, which we were in a hole because they'd beaten us with Sputnik, so we were already behind. We were second place. So we had to do something. to make sure you guys can't be first in the space race.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
I mean, one good argument is one good argument that we didn't go is why didn't the Soviets ever send their guys to the moon?
Or why didn't we ever go back?
Or why didn't we ever go back? Yeah. Because, even if they weren't the first, they could at least, we did it too. Everything else was, tit for tat.
And here's the thing. I mean, at this point, there seems to be a little bit of a race because apparently there's something valuable up there that people want. So there's like everybody's trying to get up there now and, set up, I guess, some way to harvest whatever resource it is. I don't know if it's something that we're familiar with or if it's that weird.
Well, the big arms race now is the AI race between the United States and China and the independent companies as well in Silicon Valley that are all fighting with each other.
Well, the only good thing I can even consider coming out of this maybe AI, avatar, drone-y type advances is that maybe soon we won't have to fight any wars with people. It'll just be
the rich nations won't have to fight wars with people, and the ability to send in drones instead of the population's kids will make the country far more willing to engage in war with small countries because there's really no loss. In fact, the military-industrial complex would love nothing more than if we could replace all of our human soldiers with really expensive robots and drones that cost a lot of money to make and a lot of money to fix and a lot of, you know what I mean? They would love that.
The
That would
early
be
models
ideal.
were easy to spot.
That is the ideal situation. The politicians would have no problem starting wars because people would vote for them because your kids aren't in any danger. Don't worry. It's not going to come over here. We'll just send the robots and the drones.
Yeah, but I got to say, I think there's been, I don't know, maybe it's just the age of information or whatever, but it seems to me, at least especially with like a lot of young people, and it's truthfully, I kind of see the cyclical of it because I was actually a kid in like the summer of '69. I saw that, I saw the people like kind of come together and everybody go, hey, fuck this bullshit. It's all about love and loving each other. And I kind of feel like that's almost happening again, not on like a hippie level, but more of on like a, tell you the truth, like a conservative young person level of like, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore. We see that we're being manipulated into this hate and destruction, and we're kind of done with it. So I don't know. I kind of, in that respect, there may be some light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know.
Maybe. It's really hard to tell.
Did you watch that thing with you? Well, you watched the Charlie Kirk and or some of that.
I just watched clips of it on a different pod. Right. Yeah.
But those are all supposedly, that whole crowd was all young kids.
Yeah.
And they're way, I mean, if you ever want to watch just dismantling of somebody in a debate, that guy, Dave Smith is just, he's unbeatable. I mean, unless he's actually, there's a couple of things that I've seen him that I think he's wrong about, which he's a little too much into the immigration and like, all right, or whatever. An invisible line does not make any difference to me about a person. Whether you're on that side of the line or that means nothing to me. And I think in that respect, I may be actually more libertarian than Dave Smith. But other than that, I mean, he could just dismantle any argument you make because truthfully, he's so good at just like, look, here's my argument. And nobody ever seems to be able to address his argument. They do straw man and they attack him and they do everything else, but address his argument because it's usually so good.
I saw the clip of his closing argument where he was comparing Israel to the guy that you go to the bar with that always gets you and picks fights and gets you to fight his fights for him.
Right. Yeah, he's such a good debater. I even made a comment. I said, like, I bet you his wife never won an argument. I mean, how do you even argue about somebody like that? I mean, unless he's doing something that's clearly just wrong, which could, I'm not saying he didn't do that. But yeah, I mean, Dave Smith, he's a genius. I even think, tell you the truth, if Elon Musk's party makes it to the next presidential election, which I don't know if it will, but I'll actually be very interested to see what happens in the midterms.
The American Party, isn't that what it's called?
Yes. But if it makes it and it's still around by the next presidential election, I wouldn't put it past him to do a Dave Smith, Elon Musk ticket. I know a lot of people that would vote for that. Tons.
Oh, here's a random little factoid.
Oh, wait a minute. Elon can't run, though, can he? He's not from here.
No, he's not an American citizen. I mean, he's not a natural citizen born here. So you know where Southern Boulevard is, right? West Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
It's not Southern Boulevard anymore.
No.
Yes. The sign still says Southern Boulevard, but the GPS says make a left on President Donald J. Trump Boulevard.
Oh, fuck.
It has been officially
Oh,
named.
did you see the thing where he was on the stage with the soccer guys?
No.
Oh my God.
No, I heard of
It's
something about he
hilarious.
renamed soccer. What did he rename it?
No. What he did is, dude. All right, so the soccer team wins the thing. The guy that I guess the head of the soccer thing comes out with Trump, and Trump's kind of like injected himself in there, and they both carry out the thing, hand it to one of the guys on the team. This guy
The
tries
trophy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Hands Trump and the guy hand the trophy. This guy tries to kind of pull Trump off the stage, and Trump doesn't leave. He just stands there, and like even the people on the team are like, "Why is he still here?" And they're like jumping around, celebrating, and finally the guy has to come back and grab Trump and like push him in the back. He just refuses to get off the stage, and like,
And in a different way than Biden being let off the stage.
yes,
It's
yes,
very different.
very similar, but exactly
Yeah,
opposite.
Different motivation,
Absolutely.
but still somebody has to make this old man leave.
Oh my God, it's so cringeworthy. It's like I made a comment about that. It's like, look, of all the things you can accuse Trump of, being an egotistical maniac is one of them.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad I missed that. So glad I missed that clip.
Get off the stage. Give them their moment of glory. What the fuck?
Why was he even presenting the trophy?
Because he was there.
Because he was there.
Oh God, what a moron. And at the same time, he's done a couple of good things. Like I hear they're finally going to actually get rid of the Department of Education, which would be the best thing that ever happened in this freaking country.
And just privatize it all?
Well, either privatize it or at the very least, give it to the states.
Yeah.
Let your, if you're going to have to do public school, let the state do it. Just like abortion, give it back to the states, which is the way it was supposed to be in the first place. But I mean, you've heard, I've told my private school story on the pod before, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right. Well, let me tell you my whole history of education. All right. First 2 years of school, I barely remember. First and second grade. Well, actually, I went to kindergarten for 2. And then first and second grade, Southborough Elementary, I think was one, and maybe Northborough, I forget. And then my third grade, I went to a private debacco school. Do you know what a debacco school is?
No. I know what a Montessori school is.
Well, this is probably, let's see, sixth grade. Third grade, I was probably, how old are you in third grade? Like 8?
8.
All right, so that would have been 1971, maybe 1970. So a debacco school is kind of like a hippie private school. And here's the wildest thing. My mom was my teacher.
You poor bastard.
No, it was great, dude. It was insane. So I was in this class with all these other kids, and basically you pretty much learned whatever you wanted to learn at whatever pace you wanted to learn it. And we would go out and like do homework in trees at the park and shit like that. And it was like, it wasn't really like going to school, to tell you the truth. It was kind of more like summer school where you just learned lots of stuff. All right, so then after that, I ended up going 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, Roosevelt Elementary into Roosevelt Junior High. But I learned so much in 3rd grade, I coasted. I coasted until 7th grade, where they put me in an advanced algebra class, which actually, wait a minute. Yeah, 7th grade, they put me in an advanced algebra class. No, wait, maybe it was 8th grade. Yeah, no, it was 8th grade. They put us in like some high school level algebra class, which I failed. So I had to actually ended up taking algebra again in summer school down in Miami when I was staying with my dad for one summer. And then I had to take algebra again freshman year of Twin Lakes. So I like had 3 years of algebra. But at that point, truthfully, I'd caught up to where I'd learned, in 3rd grade. By the end of 3rd grade, I was doing long division. I was just about to start doing like.
How many years do you go to the debacco school? Just one?
Just one year. And I learned more in that 1 year than all the rest of the years until I caught up to where all right, this is where I got to start learning again, which was a shock,
Right.
like, because I got in that algebra class, it was like, oh shit, this shit's hard, and they want me to work and stuff, and that's why I
Yeah,
failed.
I remember it was 10th grade. The first time I got a B. It was the first time I'd ever gotten anything other than an A. I was very surprised. And,
Oh, wow.
and there were many years where I didn't.
Now, what grade did you say?
10th.
Oh, okay. But
10th
you
grade.
didn't get A's and B's in elementary and stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, no, back
It's
then you
different.
got,
It's like
you didn't get,
E's or
yes, you got
whatever, yeah, right.
exceptional or satisfactory or
Right,
not
right.
satisfactory or, or F. You still could get an F. Not that I ever got any, but I don't remember learning anything new. Like you said, originally, like learning your alphabet and stuff like that. But
Right,
to be
right.
quite honest, I learned most of that from watching Sesame Street, Electric Company, and my mom read to me a lot. She was, really engaging. It was very good when I was a little kid, very good at that sort of thing. And I don't remember learning anything new until I got to high school. Everything that I would be exposed to in school was something that I had either already learned on my own, seen on because I've always been a nerd. So I've always watched In Search of with Leonard Nimoy and all the old documentaries, and I used to watch PBS
Yeah, you're
all the
inquisitive.
time.
You're not just some kid that did. Yeah.
And I read a lot voraciously as a kid, so I didn't really come across new information until 9th or 10th grade.
Yeah. And then high school, I basically slept through and somehow passed.
And then even then, public schools, at least when I was going to them here in Florida, it seemed like the first half of every year was just spent covering what you had learned last year, as if to say, look, we know you forgot everything over the summer, so let's refresh the things you did last year. So you really only were even presented new information in the second half of the year.
And when you take it in a totalitarian whole, you could have learned a lot. As a matter of fact, my mom used to joke. It's funny. I even posted something about this the other day. It's one day I came home from school. I forget, it was like maybe 4th, 5th grade. And I said to my mom, because it was like, why is this so stupid? Why is this whole system seems stupid? Why am I doing this? And she sat me down and explained to me, like, look, you're learning how to jump through hoops. You're learning how to deal with other people. It's a big game. I
was given that same explanation by my mother.
I was wondering if that was the case, if anybody else had heard that.
She told me, she goes, the reason you're going to school is so you can learn to be somewhere on time and follow rules and get along with other kids. And yeah.
There was a larger point I was making to that.
The Prussian system.
Yeah. The joke was, I should just pull you out of school and just give you a GED and then you just start college at like 13. Like a Sheldon kind of thing.
Right.
Which, truthfully, and that's the other thing that I like going to school. That's where all my friends were. Like when people say, "Oh, I skip school all the time," I'm like, I wouldn't want to skip school. What would I do? Sit home and do nothing? I mean,
I never wanted to skip school. I wanted to skip certain classes sometimes.
True.
And there were certain classes that I did skip, but I would still pass them because, actually, I got in a lot of trouble in 10th grade because I had so many absences from a couple of classes, but I still had a good grade point average in those classes because I would show up on the days of the tests, take the test, ace the test, and then sometimes I wouldn't turn in homework because I wasn't aware it existed because I had skipped the class and nobody told me about it or whatever.
And of course, that's part of your grade.
That's part of your grade. And
Yeah.
even the attendance was probably part of your grade, and I fucked that up too. So, but
Yeah, but the whole
and some of the classes too were just like I distinctly remember as a senior taking, it was an English lit class, and one of the semesters was poetry. You know how fucking dumb you have to be to fail poetry. All you have to do, any interpretation you want to make is fine as long as you back it up with some sort of semi-logical argument or explanation.
You want to hear something funny?
You can interpret anything, especially poems.
Of the half a semester I went to college, the best grade I got was a B in English lit. Like, how did I get a B in English lit? I remember that class was just such bullshit. You wrote like 2 or 3 papers, and you just bullshitted the whole thing about.
I can't remember the teacher's name either. She was a great teacher, though, really cool and kind of flirty almost. Even we were all seniors at the time. This was at Twin Lakes.
I got it. Well, now that you mention that, there was a substitute teacher at Twin Lakes that I actually made out with
while you were a student.
Yeah,
good for you.
Well, I worked at Musicana, which I think I started working there when I was like 16, so I was and I worked there right up until I graduated from high school. And well, first of all, you don't know about Musicana, do you?
No.
All right, so it was a dinner theater. So basically, these busloads of old people would go in there and sit down. We'd feed them, and then there was a show. Like
where was this?
Dude, it was right over by the airport. The building's still there.
Okay.
Like where the dog track is. You just go a little west of there, and it's back in there, back by the Armory. It's right down the street from the Armory, as a matter of fact, that we're talking about. So, and then the thing is, the twist of the place was the people, the kids that waited on the tables were also the kids that did the shows. right? So, so yeah, these young college kids would wait tables and then go up there and do these shows. But there were a couple of people that worked there that weren't in the show that, were still pretty young. They liked young, good looking people that worked there, obviously. But this one chick was not in the show. She wasn't she wasn't a college kid. And one day I walked into my calculus class and there she was as my substitute teacher. And before that, one night after work, we had kind of gotten around in the back and like, hey, yeah, made out for about a half hour, an hour.
Okay, so the incident occurred before she was your teacher.
Yes.
Oh, okay, well that makes it much more wholesome.
Well, yeah, no, but it was that much more shocking when I walked into my class and like, oh, hi. I haven't seen you since we were making out in the alley not too long ago.
Needless to say, at that point, you're like, needless to say, I won't be doing any of the homework or taking any of the tests.
Dude, when a substitute's in the teacher, you're not doing anything anyway. You're just,
there's no way she's not passing you. So,
Yes, I don't think it was up to her. But, I think education could be done much better. And let's admit what it is. It's going to be a huge opportunity for a lot of babysitters.
Yeah, by the time
that's what it is.
By the time I was a senior, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but by the time I was a senior, I was basically selling weed to a couple of the coaches, and so I did have a get out of jail free card. Anytime we had like any of those assemblies where everybody would have to attend, and everybody goes into the auditorium, they would always post. There were 4 entrances, 4 doors. And they would put one of the coaches at all 4 doors to keep kids from escaping, right? Right. I would literally just walk up to the one door of the one coach that would come see me after school. Right. And I'd just be like,
see you later,
take it easy, buddy. Yeah, exactly. He would hold the door open for me. And then I would go out in the parking lot, get in my car and leave. And then for a long time, you could just leave. But then they didn't have like a gate or anything, but they did put a chain across the driveway or the
I remember. Yeah,
so you just hop the curb. No, I would just hop the curb.
That too. Okay.
I had a shitty Datsun 510. I didn't give it help. If it had already had all kinds of dents. That's the car that I remember. I said Whack used to have a Dodge Dart, and we used to hit each other at red lights as a game. Right. Yeah, it was the same car. I didn't care what happened to it. And I think we jumped that curb a few times with Schumann's Suburban too.
Schumann had a Suburban?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he always had the van. I guess
he had a Suburban
after the van.
when I was there.
But so have you ever sold weed to a cop?
Not knowingly.
I have. I used to play Jai-Alai with this guy, and he was really more of a fireman, but he would do cop shifts as like an EMT or something like that. And we're the cop. But I used to play Jai-Alai with this guy, and he used to buy weed from me. Which is funniest thing. For some reason now on my Facebook feed, I'm getting videos of guys playing Jai-Alai. And it's making me giving me the bug. Like I want to get out there and do it. And one of the reasons, because I'm watching these guys and I'm like, I could throw the ball harder than that. Like back when I played.
Is there still one in Dania?
I assume so. I don't know. I have no idea. That's probably the one in fact, I don't even know if the ones I'm seeing online are from this country, and they could be from somewhere else. But
isn't Portugal the only other country that even really does it?
No, it's not Portugal. It's the Basque region of Spain, which is between France and Spain.
Oh,
that's where it's
it was
from.
Portugal. I knew it was somewhere in the Iberian Peninsula.
It's the Basque. You ever heard of Basque? The Basque?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who invented the game back in like the 1400s or some shit like that, or 1500s or whatever. But I'm sure Dania probably has. And I'm sure there's, I don't know, man. I haven't attempted to do anything in that world in so long. Who knows?
Where do you buy a cesta these days? Online, I guess.
Even back in those days, it was where do you buy one? Yeah, luckily I worked at Jai-Alai and I could buy one like that some guy didn't like or was tired of or something.
I even used to have one of those back in the day.
Right, but was it like working or was it broken?
No, it worked.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well. When you mean? I mean, like to throw a tennis ball or something. You mean worked?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't take it to a court and actually try to throw it all the way to the granite wall.
If you don't know any better,
but I mean, it was still stiff and it seemed fine. Yeah. Like it didn't,
Yeah, but it's probably broken. It's probably see those 2 wooden rails that go down the side. If they crack. They don't seem broken, but you can kind of move them and they're broken. That's it. That's when they're like, yeah, this is no good. And that's when they're like, yeah, you want to buy this? Sure.
Right.
That's how they would sell you. Otherwise, I mean, to get a brand new one made, I think it was like $300 or something like that.
Yeah, no, this was somebody else's that didn't want it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're valuable. And dude, every bit of the part of that game is like every one of those baskets made by hand, every pelota Every one of those balls is made by hand. And dude, that's the part that's just the most wild thing to try to explain to people about that game is the actual ball itself, because it's
isn't it covered in goat hide?
Some
goat
kind of
leather?
some kind of hide, like a baseball. You know, it's got like a baseball cover ish, baseball, you know, whatever, hide, whatever. And I guess inside is just really tightly wound rubber. But the thing is, I mean, they call it a rock because I mean it's a little smaller than a baseball, but it's heavier than a baseball. And the weirdest thing is you go out there and the first time you bounce it, it bounces like a rock. It like you go, like, what the fuck? This thing, and because you have to warm them up by slamming them against the wall at 180 miles an hour, and then they get lively as fuck. And it's funny too because there's a whole art to. I don't know if you ever remember when the guy goes out, like the guy getting ready to serve, he would sit there and kind of bounce the ball and then maybe take another one and bounce it or whatever.
Right.
And what they're doing is they're listening, and that's how you tell what kind of ball it is, because there's lively balls, there's dead balls, and depending on how you play, that's how you determine which ball you want. But at the same time, if you pull a ball out that hasn't been played with, you got to let your guy on your team know it's a brand new ball. This thing ain't going to bounce, you know, until you get slammed a couple of times. It's just so wild. I mean, it's a great sport, man.
I'm too juvenile not to chuckle when you say a ball that hasn't been played with. Sorry.
Yeah.
Couldn't help myself. Too bad Becca wasn't here for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of after watching that, I'm like, God, I missed that, man. It was a fun game. But yeah, watching some of these guys play, and I guess I was never. I mean, I guess there's an aspect to the game where you use a lot of spin and finesse throwing the ball, but that was never me. I was just. Plus, I played backcourt, which is basically back there. You just fucking chuck it as hard as you fucking can.
Right.
You know, just trying to throw it as you know.
What's that spin called? A rebote? Isn't that what it's called?
Well, that's what it's called when it bounces back off the back wall and it's coming like towards the front wall and you just grab it and throw it. That's a rebote.
Okay, I thought
there's all kinds
of.
I was thinking about that the other day too, because there's all kinds of terminology I don't even remember now. Because I know when you're like if you're behind a guy and you want him to let it go, you would go boy, and that means let it go. And then there's something else that means go ahead and get it, which I can't remember what that is. And there's all kinds of terms you had to know to be out on the court and yell at these guys. Which is funny too, because by the time I was doing it, we were all white guys yelling this, you know,
right?
We yelling these Spanish words. It was hilarious.
Well, it's like taking karate and learning to count to 10 in Japanese.
Yeah,
there's probably not too many Japanese people in the class, but it's still part of the tradition. It's how you do it.
But yeah, that's a fun game, man. It's definitely a fun game. Like I say, man, a lot of it is just you watch it on, you know, like you've seen it, but until you get on that court. And see how fucking fast that ball's going.
The ball is going really fast. The
doesn't.
court is a lot bigger than most people think, too, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, because you're watching it from a distance and it doesn't look that big. But when you step out there, it's pretty big.
And they're like baseball diamonds. There's all kinds of different sizes of them. There's one down in Miami I used to play that was small. It's like teeny. I was like, Jesus Christ. That's like the most amateur one there is. Like, that's where you go to learn how to play. It's teeny, but it's still, we'd go out there and have, you know, we'd have a good time. But yeah, it's a great sport. Yeah, I have to imagine they used to play it in like Mexico and the Philippines, maybe some in like California a little bit, and I mean they used to play it up north too because our Jai-Alai had a fronton in where's it, New Hampshire or Rhode
I didn't know about that. I knew there was one in Dania and I think there was one in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably one in Tampa. Still, I would think so.
I know there's a brewery there called Jai-Alai.
I played a tournament once in Dania, which actually Dania is a little bigger court than West Palm. It's actually about another 5 or 10 feet longer. It's a big
West
court.
Palm doesn't have a court anymore, right?
Well, I mean, it's still there, but nobody
it's not
plays
open.
it. Yeah.
It's falling apart. Yeah.
But I actually played in a tournament in Dania trying out for the Olympics. They were going to have the Olympics as a spectator sport in the next set of Olympics or whatever. And yeah, we didn't win or anything, but it was fun.
So close.
Yeah, no, we weren't even close. I think we got to. That's the weird thing about that sport. The only time I've only played in a couple of tournaments, but I won the one tournament I played singles in that I didn't have to depend on a teammate or whatever. I won that easily. That was easy to win. I mean, I wasn't playing against the cream of the crop per se, but that tournament was like, it's funny because you remember Art. right?
Yeah.
The owner. Because at that point, I was lobbying him like, hey, man, you should, give me a contract. Let me start. I'm playing pretty good. As a matter of fact, that's the reason I made that videotape. Remember the guy got hit in the face?
Yep.
I was making that tape to give to Art to show, look, I'm there. I'm ready. Give me a contract. And what was the point of my story?
I don't know.
Anyway, but I was waiting on him going like, yeah, man, you got to give me a contract. I'm getting up. The tournament. And he goes, well, how many tournaments have you won? I'm like, oh, I've never even played in a tournament. All right, hold on. I'll be back. And then I march into his, his office, put the tournament, trophy on his desk. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. And he's like, I'll talk to Pedro. We'll see what, blah, blah, blah. And that's, of course, I think I've told this story, but I distinctly remember the exact moment when my highlight career was completely over. I was out there playing, and this guy, Pedro, who was the player manager, was kind of walked into the cage. It was kind of, sitting, you can tell when they're sitting back there kind of watching guys playing, and I'm out there playing with a couple other guys, and my knee blows out. Like I had to quit and like limp off the freaking court. And of course, at this point, I'm like late 30s. So it's like, at that point, it's like, if that hadn't happened, maybe I could get a contract for a couple of years, but,
Not now.
No, after you saw that,
old,
like, nope,
you're not going to heal right.
No, it's not going to be. No, I was back out there in a matter of weeks. I was not that, but it's like he knows that there's a good possibility that could easily happen in the middle of a performance. They didn't even call them games. Remember, it was a performance. So yeah, he's like, nah, you're probably not going to get a contract. I'm like, yep, that's it. That was it. But yeah, if I had a healthy knee, I might have been. And not only that, if I'd have started playing before this, did you work there for the strike?
I don't remember. I mean, I was just a busboy when I
think
worked
you
there.
must.
It was
I
pretty
think
brief.
you came after the strike.
Yeah, I don't remember there being a strike.
Yeah, you must have come after the strike. I'm pretty sure because before the strike, there was literally that one guy, Michael. Remember Michael?
Yeah,
he was the only white guy playing highlight. All the rest of the guys were from Basque. They were all Spanish guys that barely spoke English. I mean, literally. And then the strike came on, and it was just like then it was all white guys, and maybe I think a couple of the Basque guys stuck around, but they were all pretty loyal. And God, what a stupid move that was! I mean, they were getting paid. I mean,
what were they striking for? What did they want?
More money, I guess. Which look, I mean, we're talking at that time, other sports are making millions and millions of dollars, but at the same time, these guys are playing a fucking game. Living like kings, and probably making the top guys are probably making 150 grand a year. But dude, do you know how much that money is back in Basque Spain? They're like freaking billionaires.
Right. And this was in the 80s, right? Or the 90s?
No, it was in the 90s. Yeah, probably the 90s, mid 90s. But dude, they were making bank. I mean, they would go back to the Basque region of Spain and live like literal kings. And they fucking blew it. They got greedy. They're like, I don't know. That was stupid.
They thought they were going to get NBA, NFL money, huh?
I'm not sure what the fuck they were thinking. But at the same time, they kind of took down the fronton. I mean, it never really kind of recovered. I mean, we did all right. I mean, but before the strike, that place used to get full. I mean, full. And I don't think when you worked there, it never really ever got that full, right?
I think it's still pretty busy.
Yeah, pretty busy, but not like full.
No.
Yeah,
I don't remember standing room only. No, nothing.
Well,
like that.
not even like that. It was never really standing. Well, I don't know. It might actually have been close to that, but it used to be a lot busier before the strike. That's for sure. Because I remember that strike. It was just like, what the fuck were you guys thinking? But like I say, I mean, it kind of
the restaurant was always busy.
Not true. Not
When
true
I
at
was
all.
there.
I think it was busier before the strike, dude. I'm telling you. Let me ask you this: who was all right? We had Captain Butter and Karen, right? Wasn't that the hostess?
I think so.
And then there was
Sounds
another
familiar.
chick, right? The blonde.
I thought Karen was the blonde.
Oh, you may be right.
I remember Captain Butter.
What was his real name? Do you remember?
Nope. I sure don't. He didn't need one. He was Captain Butter.
Captain Butter.
Admiral Cholesterol.
Oh, good Lord. Hey, I see Robin every once in a while still. I just saw her the other night.
Yeah, I'm not down here anymore, but I used to run into her oddly kind of a lot when I lived down here.
And, I worked with her somewhere else, too.
I think I worked with her at Roxy's.
I worked with her somewhere else, too. I forget where, though.
Yeah, it's hard to remember. Too many places, too many different people.
Well, the thing that's confusing about that place especially is, now, see, when you worked there, they didn't take the summers off, did they?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they were closed in the summer, yeah.
And then eventually they got to where they stayed open like 10 or 11, 10 months and then just took 2 off or something, right?
I didn't work there that long, man. I mean, I only worked there, I think, less than
Because
a
I
year.
remember when I first started working there, it was like 6 on and 6 off. You would literally, after they closed, go collect unemployment, and or I think I was working at the Gathering at the same time. I'm pretty sure I worked at the Gathering during the day doing like chicken or kitchen prep work, and then would go work Jai-Alai at night at some point. So that had to be, God, that had to be.
God, I didn't know you ever worked in the kitchen at the Gathering. I thought you just waited tables.
No, I think this was before I was old enough to wait tables. I was probably like only 20. Because, and the thing is, when I was growing up, I literally turned 18 and they made the fucking thing 21. Like right as I turned 18. But luckily, I'd already been making fake IDs for years already.
You know what's funny about the Gathering is I applied to work there. I was 14 years old. I was working at still in high school, a freshman, and you needed to be 16 to work. And I lied and told him I was 16. And John Altadonna was like, "Oh, I thought you were older," and hired me right there on the spot. So
that guy was an idiot.
And so he hired me thinking I was 16, which I wasn't even 16. Within 2 years, I could drink at the bar and nobody said anything to me. Even though the drinking age was 21. Anybody that did the math would have clearly been like, you shouldn't be allowed to drink for another 3 years, but nobody ever even carded me or questioned me.
You worked there, so I think that was,
still.
After work especially, they were like, yeah, whatever, give the busboy a fucking beer. But yeah, I mean, I think they were kind of...
Yeah, like I was the busboy, exactly. Like the busboy is never old enough to drink.
I don't think anybody was really all that... I think it was kind of lax, the whole thing. Like, you could get away with drinking at like 20, and they wouldn't, if they busted you, it wasn't like a freaking, cardinal offense or anything.
Yeah, and you're right. It was after work. It's not like they were letting me sit at the bar with a bunch of other, actual patrons.
Dude, was that the best time of our lives ever, though? Like, sitting at that bar fucking after a shift at the Gathering with either Jim B or Dave Warner behind the bar, bartending and telling jokes and just fucking live. Oh my God. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my life.
Yeah, that was a fun place to work. I will admit.
It was almost like a fraternity.
It reminded me a lot of Caddyshack. Like the same style of humor and jokes and everybody quoting the movie all the time too.
Of
but
course,
like
Jim B can recite that fucking movie from start
and also
to finish.
his love of golf, like everything about that place was like the Caddyshack.
I was thinking about him yesterday or today, and I'm like, I wonder we got to go by Morton's and see if he still works there with fucking Flores, and we got to go by there sometime and just. I think maybe Opie knows where they are.
Nobody, and still no word on Warner, huh? I wonder if he's still around. Still alive.
Well, I know the last thing I heard, he went somewhere to take care of his mother. I don't know if it was up north or if it was just Central Florida, but I don't think anybody's heard from him since then. And of course, he's probably a fucking hermit living in the mountains of fucking North Carolina right now or something, totally off the grid. That guy was
naked
insane.
except for a red belt, just running around the woods, stabbing trees and squirrels, skinning them.
Belt. Dude, you remember... Were you there for the Battle of the Ties?
This sounds familiar.
Where you used to try to wear the widest tie you could?
Yes.
Remember one time Dave was declared the all-time winner when he walked up to some table and they said, "Can we have some A1 sauce?" And he pulled it out of the back of his tie. I was like,
yes.
You gotta be shitting.
You remember the T-shirt that he made that said the New York Giants can suck this big fat one, and then on the back it said, "And their fans can suck it too," or something.
Yeah.
Just genuine design to get yourself killed.
Oh, dude, the best story for Dave, the best Dave Warner story ever, and this is under John Altadonna's because this was his fault. This fucking guy comes in, clearly a homeless guy. All right, goes up to the hostess, a table for one. The hostess goes up to John like, "What should I do?" And John's like, "Nah, give him a table. We'll give him a shot, right?
Give him the benefit of the doubt."
Give him the benefit of that. So they sit him at a table. The guy orders like prime rib, right? He fucking eats his prime rib, and he's sitting there, and he's just not doing anything after dinner. Dave Warner's waiting on him. Of course, it's got to be Dave Warner.
Yeah, should have been Guido.
Yeah, that would have. I don't think he was there that night. That would have been good too. But Dave Warner, of course, is waiting on him, making the whole commentary the whole time. It's fucking hilarious. So then he gets done, and the guy's just sitting there, obviously no plans of paying whatsoever. So
Just
finally,
soaking
Altadonna
up the atmosphere until it's time to be cuffed up.
So finally, Altadonna goes up to him and like, you don't have any money, do you? And he's like, no. He goes, all right, get out of here, whatever. And he throws the guy out. But the guy leaves this little thing on the table. I guess at the time, Wendy's was having some kind of promotional thing, and they were handing out Wendy's bucks. So Dave got left a $5 tip in Wendy's dollars that said right on there, "In Dave we trust."
Nice. I hope he framed it.
In his condominium.
I do remember him getting really pissed off sometimes and going outside and chucking bottles and plates and stuff on the roof of the Burger King next door. I don't know how many times I watched guys go out there and relieve stress by hurling anything that had a chip in it, a plate. They would store them on top of the walk-in cooler. And then when they were mad, they would just go out and the whole roof of that building had to be covered in broken bottles.
Thank God that guy had a safety valve. Because could you imagine if Dave Warner actually really got mad at you?
No.
Yeah, that would be. Isn't that a scary thought?
Yeah, it's like
I mean, you know him, but he would never do that because
it's like when you see that one season of Dexter where John Lithgow plays the bad guy, and you're like, oh, he's not just funny; he's kind of big and scary. Like he actually plays a pretty good villain. Yeah. You wouldn't want that guy mad at you. All the people that worked there were fucking characters.
Yeah, if anybody sees this, knows where Dave Warner is, by God, you got to let us know. You got to find.
I'll never forget that we had a Halloween once.
Treva's on Facebook.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
We had Halloween once, and Al came in blackface, which, in and of itself is problematic enough, right?
Back in those days, it wasn't that big of a deal.
But he used shoe polish.
Yeah.
He had blackface for a week.
Dude, my favorite Al story is, remember when Doc had his party?
Yeah, is that the one where he ripped the tag off his car and it sailed through the air and hit the cop car?
No.
Or he drove into the ditch?
No,
okay, go ahead.
I don't remember that one. But the story I remember is, Al, obviously the famous alcoholic that he was. And, I went to high school with that guy. He was in my fucking class. So we're having the party at Doc's house, and Doc had this real nice bar tray or whatever. I guess it's I don't know what you call it, but it's like 2-tier things full of bottles of liquor, of all the stuff he had stocked for his bar. Al sat down and took a shot of everything. Everything, the Drambuie, the mixer, everything. He sat there.
New Jersey Turnpike, right? Oh God!
It's just like, what are you thinking, dude? He got wasted, of course. Oh God!
No, he told a story of. So I want to say it was off of I-95, the Belvedere southbound ramp. It's a pretty wicked curve. Anyway, he'd been a little too drunk, so he, messed up, get on the off ramp and went off into a ditch, and then he had the.
This is Dave Warner.
No, Al.
Oh, okay. Because it sounds like a Dave Warner story.
Had the genius idea that if he removes the tag from his car, he won't get a ticket, right? So he's in the process of pulling the tag off his car. A cop is behind him, watching him do this in his own headlights. And I guess he was too drunk to fully unscrew it, so he's just ripping at it and finally comes free, and it launches it back in the air, and it lands on the hood of the cop car.
Yeah, that sounds something like a Dave Warner had crazy stories like that, because he would get shit-faced and, I fucking slid off the road. And, he was, God, those days, holy shit. Those are really the salad days, I've got to tell you.
Yeah.
And God almighty, did you do as much cocaine back then as we did?
No, not till later.
God almighty, there was so much cocaine.
Nobody offered it to me. I was too young.
Well, you went there you don't remember Sherry and Sherry Berard and her, I can't remember, I can see him, I can't remember his name. He had the same name as Paul Berard. You don't remember those guys? Yeah, they were this couple that worked there, and they were super cool. And basically, back in the cocaine days, we would do like a shift, and it'd be like a stupid night, like a Tuesday night, where there's really nothing to do after work. So we would get somebody would buy an 8-ball, and we would go to this couple's house and play Trivial Pursuit and drink beer and snort coke till fucking 6 a.m, just having a great time. Dave Warner would be there. Of course, he wouldn't do any coke, but Dave and Flores and Opie and all of this. It was, oh God, it was great fun.
Most of my coke was in the 90s.
Jimmer?
The early 90s, mid 90s. That's when I did most of that. I did have a friend named Carlton we used to hang out with after work and do it and play spades and dominoes all night, right?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
And he had a wife. I don't know why he said wife. He had an aunt named Rita, and we would sometimes play over at her house. And this was the only human being I've ever seen that could do cocaine for 6, 8 hours, 10 hours, and then make a 4-course meal and eat it,
I can
and
do
be
that.
hungry enough to eat it. Like
Yeah, I
the
can go
of
to sleep
food-
after coke,
The
too.
thought of food at that point was so disgusting to me that I would have to leave the room and leave the house for a while she ate because I couldn't stand to watch anybody eat.
Now, I never had any desire to eat, but I could eat after coke.
Oh, she was hungry, and
Yeah,
she would
I
make
don't
full
get
blown
that,
like
but-
smothered pork chops, collard greens,
Yeah, that
like
doesn't
just a
make much
straight
sense.
up soul food feast.
So did you play spades with us over at Scott's house? With
Yes.
Yeah, and then with the car in the living room?
Yes. Scott
That was
shared
an
it.
interesting place to live.
Yeah.
That was, back in those days, it was me and Scott and Jimmer all lived there.
I never played dominoes with you though. I don't think you guys played.
Yeah,
dominoes.
we didn't play dominoes, yeah.
No, I was taught how to play dominoes by Carlton and his black friends. So that's all, my experience was all playing with black.
We had
guys.
that dart board in there, though, that we'd try to play darts from like the other side of the house. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was just like the regular line was here, and we'd go back like the other side of all right, who can get it on the board?
That house was a hellhole.
Oh, it was great. It was great. I mean, it was the ultimate bachelor pad.
For people that can't visualize this.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if you remove your sliding glass doors to drive a Carmen Ghia?
Fiat.
A Fiat.
Fiat.
Into the
Spider,
living
I
room
think, or
/
something.
dining room where it was ostensibly there to be worked on.
Yeah, it was on blocks,
Yeah,
you know.
I
yeah.
never saw anybody do anything to it except walk around it or set a beer on it.
Yeah.
The table that we played spades on was just a piece of plywood or plywood.
Like a milk crate or something.
on top of a milk crate. So you couldn't put any beverages on them.
Yeah.
You could only put the weight of the cards themselves. And if you leaned or touched the table or used it to stand up or anything, you'd flip the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true. It was funny. Oh, the old days of being broke and not giving a shit about anything.
Remember going to Margaritas for happy hour?
my
And
God, those
so it was like 4 to
tacos
7
were
or something.
delicious.
They had all you could eat tacos if you ordered anything. So I even went for happy hour as a minor, and I would order an iced tea or a Coke, and then proceed to eat 15 or 18 or 20 tacos until I was just gorged and sick. And then I also remember they briefly flirted with this horrible promotion. They called it Tequila Tuesdays, and there were 75-cent shots of Cuervo.
Yeah, we did run to those
Even
before
back
work.
then was considered a relatively cheap way to get hammered, but you can't combine that with taco bar.
Sure you can.
Well, yeah, you can, and then and they didn't do it for too long because it involved a lot of people throwing up all over tacos everywhere. I don't remember that part.
But then we always left. I mean, we were there when they set it up, got our,
Right.
demolished it, and then went to work. Although I gotta say, did you remember how? Did you ever go eat tacos then not go to work? Like go there just to eat tacos and go home?
Yeah.
Dude, those things had some kind of. If I didn't have to go to work and I went and ate those tacos, I immediately went home and went to sleep. It's just something about. I don't know why.
I worked there for a little while too.
Oh, really? Is that
Margaritas, yeah.
Margaritaville's or whatever?
Yeah, one of the worst burns I ever got was I was running a fajitas out, and
fajitas
they
will
put
fuck
the
you up.
little cast iron skillet part, and of course it's got the hot butter and everything. But then they slip one of those little pot holders or whatever. They just slip it over the handle. Well, the asshole that had in the prep that set this thing up for me that slipped the little handle on, it was wet, and I didn't know it. So when I got to the table and I grabbed that thing to lift the fajita pan, it just transferred the heat right into my hand. And I looked like the freaking Nazi in Raiders of the Lost Ark for a couple of days. I had a permanent little mark on my palm. It was hellacious. Thankfully, I didn't hurl hot, steaming fajitas all over a customer. So I just dropped it to the ground. Nobody got hurt except for me.
I must say, I used to get, and I didn't used to have to. One of the things the prep guy used to do is I would start the big trays of the baked potatoes. And then every once in a while, if I was still there in time to have to take them out, that's where you get the burns, man. It was all, you could see them on every cook had the little.
Yep. The best burn I ever had, and it took years for this scar to go away, was working at Howley's. It was a really busy Sunday brunch, and at the time, I think we only had one working toaster, so we would have it out front for the breakfast rush, and then for lunch and dinner, we would move it in the back because we would clean up the front area and break it all down. And I had picked this, I'd unplugged it, not for long enough, I suppose. I was using pot holders. I carried it in the back. I grabbed the cord, and when I reached back to plug it in, I just touched it with the corner of my elbow, and it made a perfect triangle burn. As I touched the corner of the metal. It is a perfect red triangle on my arm for like almost a year.
See, that would have been a
before it
cool
finally faded
scar.
away. Yeah, I thought I would have it forever. I'm really surprised it's not there. It lasted a very long time.
We should give a shout out to Howley's. We had a good lunch there, and
Yep, Howley's, Dada, the entire Mayo-verse. I would
the
say,
Mayoverse.
actually.
We're probably going to end up at Dada's after this for at least a glass of wine or
Yeah,
something.
shout out to Carlos and Jess.
Yeah, we got to get Carlos to give us that sponsorship I was talking
Right,
about.
sponsored by.
Yeah, we're paying it forward right now, so they're going to owe us.
Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up about, just to hop back to in a subject we were talking about earlier about the Danny Jones thing on Joe Rogan, which partially they were talking about the moon and stuff. They covered a lot of ground on there. A lot of
rabbit holes.
A lot of rabbit holes. But the most interesting thing, the most interesting theory, and the thing I found kind of fascinating, and I'm going to have to paraphrase because I don't remember who he said whose theory this was, but the theory that he proposed, and it wasn't his, it was, again, somebody else's, was that dark matter in the universe, which is still an unexplained phenomenon in some respects, there's a theory that it actually does contain mass, right? Now, it's not electromagnetically detectable, but it does contain mass. And so the theory that he had, that this other person that he was espousing, was that data, information, the zeros and ones that are electronically stored on a hard drive, that those actually possess mass. And they're also not detectable by electromagnetic detection. However, we don't have anything sensitive enough. His theory is that we don't have anything sensitive enough to weigh them to determine how much they weigh. But it's a very fascinating idea to think that information itself could have weight, could have mass.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Saying the zeros and the ones doesn't make sense, but when you say the information itself,
but the electronic information itself. And so this theory that this other person whose name I can't remember was proposing was that the dark matter in the universe is information, and that's the information of consciousness, and that's the thing that we are all kind of tapped into or try to tap into, and it would help go a long way towards explaining a lot of paranormal experiences and everything. And so when I was thinking about that and how interesting all of that was, my next thought would be, if data on a hard drive can be determined to have weight, what about information inside the human head? So my question would be, if you had a measuring device that was sufficiently sophisticated and delicate enough to measure such tiny little amounts, would a smart person's brain weigh more than a dumb? The amount of knowledge that you accumulate in your life, could it actually have an effect on?
Despite the actual weight of, like, somebody with a bigger brain might not be smarter than.
Right. All other things aside, right?
Right.
Weight being the same, the actual mass and structure of the brain being the same, human, same race, same species, same age, same whatever, but just somebody who's exposed to a tremendous amount more of information, or even who has better retention. Would their brain weigh more?
I'll have to remind you of the response you have to some of the many rabbit holes I go down to. That's a lot of ifs.
Of course it is, but it's fascinating. It is interesting.
It is. And it's funny. I heard somebody else talking about that, and they were talking about the slit experiment. The light being a wave or particle, and that somehow helps explain that.
Right. Well, that's also helps to explain by the multiverse. Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the multiverse thing, but who knows? Who the fuck knows? I mean, I'm not even, we're arguing about, the information about Epstein and shit like that. I mean, that's easily manipulated stuff. That other stuff, I heard we're going to have to get this to where we can bring Mike in to do his little DMT experiment. That's going to be a good episode when we can finally get somewhere we can do that. That'll be fun. Well, we should probably we should let Dean get out. Give him the number.
It's so hard to 904-549-9024.
I was going to say by now I would think you would have it easier.
It should be getting easier and easier.
Yeah,
for some reason I can
almost remember.
I had a brain
now.
fart there for a second.
But so like and subscribe. Subscribe being the most important thing.
And leave comments, please.
And leave comments. And again, we did this last episode, but if you happen to watch this episode and you can leave a comment, please just put a 1 in the comment section, just so we can help try to keep track of how many people are actually viewing the show, because we have some suspect about.
Yeah, there's some weird discrepancies with our view count. It doesn't.
Yeah,
make a
it
lot
just
of sense
doesn't.
to
It
us.
doesn't make sense. So we're trying to make heads or tails of it. So if it helps, if you watch, put a 1 in the comment just so we can compare that to how many views it says we have, and you know, because I know, you know, like I say, people like me that don't fill in the fields and don't sign in, they
Right.
can't leave a 1. So
Right.
you can't count those people. But definitely subscribe and like, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.